Hello and welcome back to Bluebaggers Edge. And boy, I have a smile on my face because what I saw was, yes, the victory was good in itself. Yes, that was nice. Second, consecutive win, always a good thing. But as I outlined in the preview of this game, what I was looking for was not just a win. It was the way and style that we would win in if we were to win. Thankfully, that happened. But the way that we played was, wow, I honestly cannot remember a game in recent seasons, because I have to think all the way back to the early part of 2024, where we played with consistency, we played with dare, we played with great efficiency, and we played with efficiency forward of the ball as well, like kicking inside 50, kicking to leads, like things that I've been asking for and wanting to see for so long. And there were so many boxes ticked across the board. As a team, the team chemistry, the way that they were working in unison. And then we look at the individual games, small forwards, tackling, pressure ratings just off the charts. And again, consistency, which is something that we have been, obviously been having trouble with across the early part of 2025. But, it's very, not, well, it has been rare, but I can't remember a time where we've gone from, starting siren all the way to the final siren, just relentless pressure, relentless dare, relentless, just quality across the board. We didn't give up. And, in recent victories that we've had, we've kind of been at a stage where, as we saw against Richmond, and we're so far ahead that we took the foot off the gas, dropped our heads, confidence, whittled away off the back of some pressure applied by the opposition. And it was the complete opposite here. We just kept going and going and going. And, geez, I don't think there's been a win that has filled me with as much joy as what this has. And I know, as I always alluded to, this perspective, the team that we played were probably, with all due respect, probably VFL quality, the way that they were, putting in on the day. Similar to, West Coast, you could probably say they were like a waffle team. But again, you can only play against who you fixtured against. And I think if we were to play a team of quality with the way that we played, we would have more than likely come away with the victory, I think. I think back to teams that we've played already, Hawthorn, Collingwood. If we were to play in this style, we would have come away with a victory. I'm confident in that. Just really, really confidence building. And that's the main thing as well that I'm keen to extract from this game, obviously apart from a victory. Let's have a look at the stats as always, and we'll deep dive into this. And actually, it's a bit of a treat. We might have a look at the mini of this game, the bite-sized mini, and we will just run through some of the highlights on the day. And because I work in an audio-visual medium, I'm a videographer by trade. Obviously, as you know, some people may know, I used to work at the club as the head of video at Carlton. And in terms of analysing play and stuff like that, I'd love to do a little bit more of and speaking to bits of vision. So I will be doing that towards the back end of this video for about 5 to 10 minutes or so. So look out for that. Stay tuned if you're keen for that. Just skip ahead. But otherwise, as always, we will go through the base stats, and then we'll take a little bit of a deep dive as well in terms of just looking at the pressure ratings of specific individuals. And there were players here that I have been critical and, held some higher expectations for that they haven't met. And geez, they came out and ticked those boxes. So the final score, 11-5, 71 North Melbourne to Carlton 24-9, 153. And just from the outset, 24-9. Again, I can't remember a game where we've had that, efficiency off the number of scoring opportunities that we've had, because even for those lower scoring opportunity games, we've had trouble converting, and more likely than not, we've had more behinds, and the greater number of scoring shots we've had, there's been a high percentage chance of us kicking more behinds than we have goals. So to have, 33 scoring shots and 24 of those were converted as goals is incredible efficiency in front of goal. And we will see when I go through the little bite-sized clips of the game, just the confidence, and I think that grew across the course of the game, which was most crucial. And it was almost that the confidence snowballed our efficiency, snowballed our work rate, and it just got better and better off the back of that, which is the complete opposite to the early part of, the season, like the Carlton that we've seen there, where there's been no confidence at all. Efficiency's been down across the park. And then, obviously kicking inside forward 50, there've just been bombs, all those issues. And we've worked upon deficiencies that we saw against West Coast as well. So we'll get into that. But just from the outset, incredible. Let's just scroll down, look at the match timeline. So it was a little bit of an arm wrestle up until halftime. And believe it or not, our second half was actually better than our first half. So again, the first time all season that we've been able to really put the foot on the throat of the opponent and, consolidate the victory. So a lot of that damage was done in the second half, which is, as we know, been the opposite to what we've seen, where we kind of started well and then finished, running at a puff and fell in a heap. So that in itself is incredible to see. Let's just go through the team stats, and then we will roll through some deeper diving when it comes to the other stats as well. Disposals. So we had 19 more than the Roos. Oh, geez. Quite a few more kicks, that's for sure. What's that, 30, 53? We had less handballs. Inside 50s. Now, this is the big one. Inside 50s. In isolation, it's great because it shows our dominance, obviously, giving ourselves prime opportunity to kick a very, very big score, which is what we did. So we had 64. 2025 average is 59.3. But the one thing here that we need to note with, and I always talk about the comparison, inside 50s in themselves are good, but how many of those inside 50s are we converting to scoring shots? So 64 inside 50s, and we had 33 scoring shots, which is incredible, absolutely incredible. So over 50%. It's one of those things that we've been really lacking with, and I spoke about it in the preview as well, in terms of we've been pretty good in terms of defensively restricting oppositions to lowly totals, but we've really struggled in terms of in front of the sticks and scoring opportunities and converting those inside 50s to scoring opportunities. So that there is just a massive, massive tick, especially in light of the fact that it has been one of our bigger deficiencies across 2025 and even the back part of 2024, as we know. 39 inside 50s to the Roos, so that was below their season average as well. So our ability to really restrict their end and room to, limit the amount of inside 50s that we're having is really, really good. Disposal efficiency was pretty much neck and neck. Efficiency inside 50, the big one, 59.4%. Our season average, 43.8%. So again, ties into the inside 50s and how many of those inside 50s we were converting to scoring opportunities. So 59.4%. Compare that to North Melbourne, who are below their season average of 46.9 with just 41%. So another big, big tick. Free kicks, this was interesting, 29 to 17. I felt as though it was a bit closer than that, but as we'll see when we talk about tackles, work rate, everything else, you get free kicks when you put yourselves in the position to force a turnover and get free kicks. So a lot of these free kicks here were via our work rate, tackling and forcing those turnovers. So another big, big, big tick. Moving to the stoppage side of the game, much like last year's encounter against the Roos, Cherry came out over the top of TDK in the hitouts, 48 to 32. So that was kind of the constant from the previous game. And clearance-wise, no surprise again, but 46 clearances to 38 North Melbourne. So spoke about in the preview that the big part of our game that we were going to get on top of when it came to the little bit of an arm wrestle was in the end room. I thought there would have been patches where they challenged us, which there was, especially in the, at least, first quarter and a half, maybe first two quarters. But we really got on top of the game after that. Centre clearances 20-10 in our favour. Stoppage clearances 26-28. A little bit more even there. Possession-wise, 151 to North Melbourne's 132. Uncontested possessions. Now, this is good as well. I don't mind the fact that we only just won the uncontested possessions. I like the fact that we didn't allow the opposition to just find so much free space and capitalise on uncontested ball, which is what, again, we've had issue with in previous games. So, another tick. Turnovers, 62 North Melbourne to 52 Carlton. So, our average, believe it or not, is actually 64, which is 2 more than what North had against us on Good Friday. So they were kind of par for the course in terms of their average turnover rate, but we were well below par, which is incredible, and again speaks to the efficiency that we had across the board. Possession-wise, 46% to North's 35%. And we'll look at the marks. So 85 to North's 58. Very good to see. Marks inside 50, that's another big one as well. Just our work in the forward half, hitting up targets inside forward 50. Forwards with leading patterns, praise be the Lord. It's like a different coach was at the helm here. I don't know what it was. There's a lot of fast ball movement, which I love, and I wish that we did more of. But it shows, just with confidence, sprinkled in, along with a little bit of dare, switching the play, fast ball movement, spread to the opposite side of the ground, even zigzagging, go wide, kick back into the corridor, which is what we did various stages. And there were a couple of times where it didn't pay off. Like I think there was a stage there with Walshy. He was kind of between the wing and the half-back flank and tried to pick off a pass in the corridor. He kind of telegraphed it a bit. He wasn't quick enough and, decided, I might as well go down that avenue. But by the time he did, I think it might have been Hewitt he was kicking to, was shut down, and there was a turnover. But then, lucky enough, we were able to force a stoppage. So I don't mind that, and I think it comes with the territory that if you are willing to take a little bit of a risk, with a little bit of confidence, you are, I think more often than not, able to convert that to opportunities forward of the ball. Whereas I think, if you just stay inside your shell and you're like, I don't want to try and, execute any passes through the corridor, you're not going to know. Like, that's the thing. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And, of course there is, there's risks, and I think there's calculated risks, which is kind of what we adopted more often than not in this game. And I just hope that it continues, because we will pick apart opposition teams across the competition for the remainder of the year if we can keep this up. And it's a hard thing to do, I know, especially for 4 quarters of footy, but we did it. And we did it against, I know, albeit a lowly opposition, but it doesn't matter. If you're putting the work rate, and we were ticking boxes across the board defensively, up forward, in the middle, what more can you ask for? So really, really, really good to see. Contested marks 12-4. Scoring-wise, spoke about that already, but 24 goals, 9 behinds. And look at that. Season average for us, 12.5 goals. Ended up scoring 24. And behinds, we were below par on our season average of 12.3. So, tick, tick, tick. Defensively, this is what I want to harp on about. And whilst I was impressed with the fact that we were able to have so many scoring opportunities, to do that as well as in unison, play a really, really nice defensive game, not just in defense, but up forward, inside forward 50, just chef's kiss, really. Like 83 tackles to 56. Spoke about it in the previous review against West Coast, where we were dominant, but our tackling numbers were just not good enough. We actually had less tackles than West Coast, and I spoke about it then. People may have said, oh, but we had more of the ball more often than not, and we didn't have an opportunity to tackle, which I think is just hogwash. You always have an opportunity to tackle, and you're not going to have the ball in your hands 100% of the time. So this speaks to that. We dominated. We absolutely smashed it on the scoreboard, as we know, and we were able to smash it in the tackle differential, 83-56. So thank you. Thank you, Carlton, for working on that side of the game. Tackles inside 50, 23. So 23 of those 83 were inside forward 50. Again, it just maximizes your scoring opportunities, your number of scoring opportunities, by containing the ball inside your forward 50. Force a stoppage. If you don't get a free kick, just keep at it. Just keep hammering. And we saw that where there were tackles, forcing turnovers, free kicks, converting for goals. Tackles inside forward 50 for North 8. So different opposite ends of the spectrum there. Bounces, and one of which of those 8 was Weeders, which hilariously he was running along the wing. Looked very good. 8 bounces to 3. Can't really read too much into that. 1 percenters was quite even. And that's it. So let's go for a little bit of a deep dive because we can look at the player stats here, but it doesn't tell the full tale. And I want to go through individual performances in terms of tackles, forays forward, who had those scoring involvements, so on and so forth. So let's flick back across to one of my favorite websites, Wheelo Ratings. Go and check it out. It gives you a breakdown of each game. And as you can see here, quite detailed. So we'll sort it in terms of player ratings. And can we do it by team? Yes, we will. So no surprise, Georgie Boy Hewitt. Now, this guy, and I spoke about it in the previous video, is in the form of his career. Let alone his time in the Swans jumper, in Carlton jumper. It was a sight to behold, really, because he's been hands down our most consistent player across 2025. He's probably this year's, knock on wood, it continues, but this year's Matt Kennedy, I think. He just does it all, but then some as well. So disposal efficiency, 82.4%. I think he probably would have been our highest rating. Actually, he wasn't. But he was up there in terms of, weighing up alongside the number of disposals that he had. 82.4% from 34 disposals is very, very hard to do. Very hard to do. You compare it to other ones like Nick Haynes, 91.7%. He was great from 12 disposals, though. Much easier, given just talking numbers there, to have high disposal efficiency with lower disposals. So that was great. He just continues on. I mean, Cripper didn't have a good game. I walked out of the game with my father-in-law and we were just like, where was Cripper? Like it was refreshing in a sense because it wasn't a game where we had to rely upon Cripper to just come out and absolutely, smash it to bits in order for us to get on top and have, the win that we did. So for the likes of a Georgie Boy Hewitt to come out and continue his dominance and, defensively, offensively, he just did it all. Contested possessions, 21 of his 34 disposals were contested. Ground ball gets 13. CBA's 82%, which I think was our highest across the board. Clearances, 12. He kicked a goal as well. But also tackles, 9. 9 tackles, which is the equal second most alongside Motlop and Cripper. Oh, sorry, it is the equal most, because I was counting Cherry there. It was the equal most for us. So work rate in order to get around the ground and get your hands on 34 disposals. Then also defensively to apply tackles, at the coalface, but also around the ground. And then pressure acts as well. Really good, 15. That's a really good number when it starts to go from 15 upwards. That's elite. So a really good game. A really, really good game by our man, Georgie Boy. Next up, Jesse. Now, you could probably say that Jesse, he capitalised because I think he kicked his 3 goals in the last quarter, it may have been from memory. But I think even if he didn't kick a goal, I would have classified his game as, in terms of what he's been dishing up, thinking about it in terms of consistency, I would have given his game a big tick. And that would have been in terms of his defensive pressure. I spoke of it just before, 9 tackles. But look at the pressure acts here, 29. The most out of any player on the ground. And you could see it. He was second, third efforts. He was chasing. Even when he wasn't within, 20 metres of his opponent, he was still chasing, putting pressure on. Around the coalface when he was actually given some run through the middle as well. Same thing, tackling pressure. That's what we want. And it probably speaks to the reason why we've run with so many small forwards across the past couple of weeks especially. is we're trying to, I guess, up that part of our ground where we're not applying enough pressure, especially inside forward 50. And he was a really big reason as to why that part of our game worked so well. So big tip of the cap to you, Jesse. 3 goals as well, the cherry on top. And I really like the look of him running through the middle. He provides a fair bit of speed. He's a really good field kick, I find, as well. He hit up a couple of passes kicking inside 50 as well. So an incredible game by you, Jesse. And I know I've been a critic of yours, and probably rightfully so, because you haven't really shown that consistency that's needed to be at senior level. And I probably, if you were given a little bit of a run in the VFL, I would have said it probably was warranted. But what I want to see from here on out, and this was an incredible game, but consistency week after week. You had a similar game, probably not this level against the Hawks. In terms of your pressure, it was really good, but you've got to continue that week after week. That I think is the bread and butter. Anyone really, because it comes down to work rate. You don't need to apply skills. I mean, you obviously need to read plays, have great positioning and stuff in order to be in the right spots to apply pressure, corral, and tackle. But anyone can tackle. Anyone can be a really good defensive player. You've just got to put your mind to it, and you don't have to be an 100% offensive player because, we're not always going to be in that position where we can be, having scoring opportunities, especially against those good sides. So the best game from Jesse, hands down, for 2025, and would love to see that continue. Walshy was the 3rd highest rating player on field. And whilst he didn't have a day out in terms of the number of times he touched the ball, he was really good at the coalface. 12 contested possessions, 5 inside 50s, ground ball gets as well. He's so clean below his knees. Intercepts, he had 4, which is right up there. And having a look at his tackling, 6, and pressure acts, 2nd most on field. So tip of the cap to old Walshy there. Great game by him. Moving on to the next player, Adam Chera. Got his hands on the pill, did some really, really nice things at the coalface, but also playing that outside game as well. Score involvements, 9. And should have mentioned as well, score involvements, which I don't think I did, with Georgie Boy Hewitt, 8. So both of those boys, in terms of being in the engine room, just gave us the great opportunity to, create these scoring opportunities and be involved in them, for lack of a better word. Let's just quickly continue down. So Matty Cottrell had a really good game again. His kicking inside forward 50 is chef's kiss. Tom De Koning, he didn't have the best game, but there were moments there where like that bit of play where I think it might have been Cherry, kind of fell over. He put a little bit of body on. He took the ball out of the ruck virtually and just threw it on his boot, 20 metres out from goal. And it was an absolute missile straight through the middle. And I was like, just the confidence to do that in reading the play, seeing that Cherry has lost his footing, grabbing the ball and just instinctively putting it on your boot to get a goal. Geez, he did some really, really nice thing. It wasn't a massive standout game from him, I don't think, but did some really nice things. Speaking of really nice things, let's have a chat about the other small forwards. So Will White, great to see him convert multiple goals. 3 goals, 1 he ended up kicking, and he got involved as well across the board. 8 score involvements, which is right up there. It was the third most, equal third most, next to Georgie Hewitt. So an incredible game by him and builds confidence. And there's bits of play here that I'll highlight when we're going through the mini, where for someone who's so inexperienced at senior level, and something that I love seeing because it's bread and butter stuff, it's 1%ers. It's, when you have a handball, you handball into a teammate who you see is already under pressure by an opponent, you handball, then you apply a shepherd or a block. It's just beautiful stuff. And it's that team chemistry and instinctiveness that I just want to see so more often. So great game there by a fellow small forward. Let's continue on. Next up, we have Zachy Williams, another small forward. 4 goals, 1. Great crumbing work as well. There was bits of play there which we'll see the vision of at the moment, where he just split the pack, threw it on his boot around the corner, and kicked a really nice goal. He did it on a couple of occasions as well. Great, again, tackling pressure. He ended up having 6 scoring shots, 4 tackles, and 5 score involvements. So that was great. Lewis Young, he didn't have a massive standout game, but had 17 disposals and really competed in the ruck as well. Did what he could there, and he hit the scoreboard, but it wasn't a standout game by him by any stretch of the imagination. But I think he played his role up forward and provided an option and blocked where he could, all that sort of stuff. Charlie, 4 goals, 3. Wasn't the best conversion rate, obviously, by Charlie, but geez, he looked exciting. And he looked fired up. My father-in-law mentioned as well, in the warm-up on field, he was having a little bit of a tiff. It might have been with TDK, and they'll kind of just at each other, and it's just like, he has got the fire in the belly, and he's going to come out and absolutely have a day out. Just wish he converted a bit more accurately, but is what it is. And, just the fact that he was able to have 7 scoring shots was pleasing to see. Mitch McGovern, early on, he looked like he had regressed back to the Mitch McGovern that we don't like to see. Turning the ball over, stupid kicks, all that sort of stuff. But to his credit, worked himself back into the game and played a decent role. So, again, someone that probably that perseverance I like to see, where it's too few and far between, where if he has a bad game from the get-go, more than likely he's going to continue that across the entirety of the game. So good to see that he worked his way back into it. And I no doubt reckon it's off the back of, the confidence across the board that builds as the team is getting on top. So too does the individual confidence of players like McGovern, and he was able to work himself back into a positive mindset and, really get the best out of himself. Now, Corey Durden, and I tweeted about this. If you don't follow me on Twitter, please do so. Bluebaggers Edge, and get involved. But I will not be told otherwise. I've been a big, big fan of Corey Durden for a long, long while, and I will not be told anything else when I say that he is our answer to our small forward woes. You can bookmark this. You can timestamp it. He has shown glimpses of what he showed against North Melbourne. He showed a really good showing against West Coast the previous game, and he's battled across the board with his durability issues, which has held him back from having that consistency and being able to have those moments of continuity in his career to date. So another great game by him. Kicked 2 goals, 2. But again, pressure acts, 13, 5 tackles, right up there. And part of the reason why we were able to have as many scoring shots as we did, because of those pressure acts, those tackles, forcing stoppages, forcing turnovers. He is an incredible player. The fact that he's been able to push up the ground as well, which is, yes, I love. I've mentioned it. When he played West Coast late last year, he played that high half forward role. He's such a good two-way runner, and he's incredible field kicking as well is a sight to behold. So there was a few people that replied to my tweet saying, I'll put my hand up and say I'm wrong. I've been a little bit of a knocker of Durden, and it's evident to see that he is talented and he can manage to forge out a career at senior level, provided that consistency continues. So, I have no doubt he's talented as they come, and he played a pure small forward role as well. He wasn't just, pack mark, Charlie going up for the ball, Motlop going up for the ball, Durden going up for the ball. He was at the back of the pack, much like he played against West Coast. That impressed me there, where he just stayed at ground level and didn't force anything, but stayed there, played his role, kept his position, ball, skittle off the pack at ground level, pick it up, snap around the body, goal. He is someone that is just made for that vacancy that we have. And again, having said that, I love what I saw from Motlop, and we can have both of these guys in the team, 100%. Will White as well, or Walter White, as I like to call him, W. White. And then we have Zach Williams. So it leaves, I guess, Fogarty as that sort of, fifth wheel in a sense. He didn't have the best game, but we'll get to him in a moment. But yeah, Durden, just chef's kiss again. Jack Silvani, chef's kiss. He is in the form of his career. I will say that right now. He has been up there with Hewitt in terms of our most consistent performers week in, week out, in a new position that he hasn't played on a consistent basis in defence. Just the maturity, the leadership of the bloke. Just incredible stuff. 7 intercepts, 7 marks, 4 intercept marks, 4 scoring involvements, pushing up the ground, 5 tackles, 13 pressure acts. And then Weeders, who went off late in the game, copped a little bit of a knock, but they're saying that he is all good, thankfully. Just Weeders doing Weeders things. Another guy who's been as consistent as they come. Great work by Weeders. Geez, he has worked his way into decent form. And people have been knocking him. I mean, he didn't have the greatest start to 2025, but really is playing his role. Drifting across, taking intercept marks, taking marks. Really good to see. Paddy Cripps didn't have the best game. Didn't have the best game by any stretch of the imagination. Kicked a ripping goal, which we'll see in a moment when I play the bite-sized mini highlights. 6 scoring involvements though. 9 tackles, which I think was the equal most for us. Matty Carroll, now a guy that's played his second game now. Geez, he shows some confidence and maturity about him. Really good. Knew when to go up for the spoil. Knew when to mark. Couple of kicks didn't perhaps come off, but he plays with confidence. And more often than not, it's guys like him who pick off passes and attempt to pick off passes going, through the corridor, which is to have that confidence for a second gamer. It's a very, very rare. Blake Acres came in, played his role, 22 disposals, contested wise, pretty good, 6 marks, 6 score involvements as well, 13 pressure acts. Sardi, couple of nice runs as well. Meters gained was up there. And I want to mention as well, I forgot to mention it, with Jack, his meters gains, 427. 427, which I think was the second most behind Chera. Yes, so Chera had 555, if you don't mind. Silvani, 427. Matty Cottrell, 421. And Georgie Boy Hewitt, 417. Just ticks across the board. Cooper Lord, I think he found himself unlucky again to be the starting sub, but geez, he was a super sub when he came on. Ended up kicking the 2 late goals, courtesy of a couple of free kicks. One was free kick against North Melbourne, and then the other one, I think he forced a turnover through a tackle. So really love what I see from Coops. He's got the poise. There was a bit of play late in the game where he had the ball, and instead of running forward, he waited for Walshy to pass him, handballed, and then put on a block. Stuff like that, again, 1%ers. Just great to see. Lockie Fogarty didn't have the best game. Was thereabouts. And he's probably one of the guys renowned for his tackling and pressure acts. Was down on probably what he can provide. Elijah, he was subbed out tactically. But, for a run at senior level, is what it is. He'll build a bit of fitness, bit of confidence out of the big win as well. And Ollie Hollands had a little bit of a down game as well. Now, let's have a quick look before we delve into the highlights and speak to a couple of beautiful sights to see. As we always do, let's have a look at the score sources. And no real surprise, 11-369 we scored via turnovers. And again, you don't really need to look at that to know that a bulk of our score came via turnover. Because, again, look at our tackle numbers, look at the pressure acts, look at the tackles inside forward 50. Again, it just increases the number of scoring opportunities that you can have off the back of that. It's such a base skill that any player can apply. And Richmond, they exemplified that in the first round against us. You don't need to be, 150, 200, 250 gamers in order to apply pressure and tackling. So that was, I guess, a product of our work rate and defensively putting in what was required. Stoppage, 12-577 as well, we were able to score. And that just is an indication of how we got on top through the middle. And only kicked 1 goal, 1-7 through kick-ins. So we didn't really go end-to-end as such. North Melbourne didn't either. And they got a bulk of their scores through stoppage, which, they kind of were engaged in an arm wrestle with us at various stages. But, and they got a few more goals via turnover as well. Through a couple of our errors that perhaps didn't come off, we tried to pick off or, bite off more than what we could chew, and it counted against us. But again, score origins, forward half, just that tackling, relentless pressure inside forward 50 in the forward half. 94 points. It came, courtesy of that. So let's go now and have a look at some of the highlights, some of the things that stuck out to us. And this was during the first quarter. And look at that, Dirge just going back with the flight. You just love to see it, and picked his moments as well. He didn't need to do that, but converted truly. He's been copying a fair bit of shit, Youngie, but just look at that. I mean, 2-on-1, yes, but he contested the ball aerially, didn't come off, but still was able to, instead of giving up, he could have easily given up and just slowed his pace, turned around and saw Huey was in a 1-on-1. No, he put on the afterburners. Look at that. He knew that if he tapped it forward, it would have been to Huey's advantage, which he did so. He was able to run onto it. And look at these patches of play here. So Georgie boy Hewitt to Will White. Now, this is what I was identifying when it came to handballing to a teammate. Seeing that your teammate is under pressure and applying a shepherd. So this entire passage of play, it's pants-off territory, really. Youngie with the second and third efforts with the knock-on. And then look at this. Will White receives the ball, handballs to Walshy. Again, identifies that he's under pressure, applies that shepherd, which allows Walshy then to keep running on, take a running bounce, see Crippers in a better position than him because the North Melbourne player was coming off his man to apply pressure. And Crippers got time and space. Granted, this was an arsey kick, but he'll take it. And kicks an incredible goal. Look at this. Great tackling pressure from Youngie. Again. Force again by Hewitt. Forces Parker to handball to space to no one. The block applied by Fogarty. Again, a nice little 1%er. Williams dashes through the corridor there. The nice little hallway that he had. And time and space converts. They're not just individual performances. It's how we're cohesively working as a unit. Bang. Chera just reads the play. Actually, should mention, I thought that came off TDK, but I think it came off Cherry, that knock. But he came running through. So the setup there, you'll see Chera is on the far left. And he identifies that no matter what, whether it be TDK or Cherry, they're going to try and hit it either to Cripper or Sheasel. And I think it came off Cherry there. And Chera, just look at this, burns off Parker. Bang. Beautiful kick inside 50. Look at that, follow the ball, small forwards galore. We had Durden there running opposite direction towards goal and Williams running away because, of course, they're going to try and follow the player with the ball. So Durden's there, could easily handball over the top, but Williams around the body, bang. Could have also handballed to Youngie as well and applied the block if you wanted to. But again, positioning. Funnily enough, I was actually positioned behind this girl here who was on the just right near the bench. And every goal to her credit, got up and about, just waving the scarf. Good stuff. This bounce should have been recalled, but it wasn't. That's all right. Cripper just bursting through. And again, you saw that with Motlop. Applying pressure, even though he was always going to kick it, just apply that pressure, force a miss kick. Curtis, as I said, he was always going to be a pest for us, which he was. Charlie, and look at that lead. Look at that lead.
Couldn't affect the contest. Right to the square to get after. Sherry the big fists. Didn't get it all
applying pressure, bang. Look at that. Durden, look at the pressure. Look at him. Look at him. Second, third efforts. Still going, Durden. Bang. Charlie read that the whole way. Let me just go back and highlight that again. So Durden, watch Durden here. From the stoppage. Durden, bang, runs off his man. Applies pressure, keeps running. Gets the ball carrier. Look at that. Sees it. Identifies that he's going to try and handball inboard to McKercher. And runs that side of the ball, sticks his arm out, grabs the ball. Everyone else is bamboozled balls. Charlie just throws it onto his boot. Bang, goal. So I said I wasn't going to go through the mini on KO, but I just couldn't help myself because we really need to pay homage and, give plaudits to those players that really played outstanding games defensively, offensively, 1%ers, shepherds, spoils, tackles, knock-ons. It's unlike the win against West Coast. West Coast win, I think, was kind of a relief, but there were parts of our game where it was a bit of a sour win in a sense, and Voss had the same, sentiment as well, where it was like it was a win, but the style of win wasn't the best. And just to put the footnote on things, as I said at the start of the video, I was looking for a more emphatic way of how we win, working on those deficiencies, and we did it across the board. We did it. So I could probably talk about this for another hour on end, but I won't. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Really keen to hear what impressed you most and which players individually stuck out to you, because there were many players. And keep in mind, our one leader who, just puts us on his shoulders week after week. We didn't have to rely on Cripper to get this sort of win. We didn't have to rely on Cripper to win at all. He could have not been playing. Like, he obviously did some nice things, kicked that ripper goal, but we would have still had this same style of win without Cripper there, which speaks to from the top echelon of Cripper, Hewitt downwards, all the way down to, whoever our lowest rated player was, which I think it was Ollie Hollins, in terms of the stat side of things. They all contributed in some way or another. It wasn't just left to the top tier, which is our big, big issue and criticism that we've had, is we've got these big top echelon players and then it just falls away because other players don't play their role. We have players playing their role. The small forwards, Durden, we had Will White, we had Motlop, we had Zach Williams, Georgie Boy Hewitt, Cottrell with his run and speed, Chera, Walshy, like all these guys, Sauce, Weeders, even Youngie. What a game. What a game. So, ladies and gents, we'll leave things there. I will not bore you any longer. I will not continue on like a broken record, even though I'd love to. But we will cut things there. And we will be back, of course, with a preview ahead of our clash with Geelong. And, geez, it should, and I really, really hope this springboards our season. I think we had a 9-day break between games compared to Geelong, because they're obviously playing the Easter Monday game. So that's going to be interesting, but we've got a head full of steam. We've got players that have transformed themselves, and yes, it's a 1-game sample size, and we hope it continues, but that's all we can hope for, is that it continues. And what we saw is something which can really springboard our season, and it was this style of win that I was looking for against Richmond. I spoke about it in that preview, where it was like, expectations are that yes, we should win, but it comes down to our style of win, the manner in which that we win. Are we on top of everything in terms of offensively, defensively, and in the middle? And in this game, we ticked all 3 boxes. So what more can be said, really? Incredible showing by the 23 players that pulled on the Navy Blue for Good Friday. And you just hope it continues. They're up and about. They've got confidence. They're getting around each other. And it almost seems like there's a team chemistry there now that it's kind of like been lacking, and we've been questioning why hasn't it been there previous weeks, but it was there, and it was definitely there in this game. As always, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, feel free to do so, because if you are enjoying the content, the analysis, that is the best way to let us know. So hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you will be notified of when our content does drop as well. But thank you for tuning in as always, and we'll see you in the next one. Go Baggers.
Have you ever heard the MCG